Good evening and a warm welcome to Big Budget Business, where we highlight prolific individuals making strides in their respective fields. Today we are speaking to Mr. Lesley Baleseng of Deafinite Signing. Mr. Lesley, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, and hello to your viewers.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure really having you. Perhaps we could start with an introduction of yourself. Tell us about Lesley Baleseng.
Lesley's, I grew up in a village here in Botswana called Otse. I'm an avid reader, avid traveler.
Wow.
I'm a sign language practitioner.
Okay.
I'm a sign language interpreter.
Okay.
Yeah, basically that's what I do.
Oh, all right. Interesting. Now, Lesley, our show really aims to inspire young people to venture into business as a means of, economic empowerment and the like. Let's talk about you as Lesley. Why would you say entrepreneurship is important? What are your thoughts about it?
For me, entrepreneurship is an opportunity to share your gifts with the world in a sustainable way.
Wow.
It's a chance to show your uniqueness, your individuality, but in a way that's able to sustain you. It can be called many names, including entrepreneurship, but basically it's that freedom, having to be yourself, but in a way that you also get to survive.
Wonderful. I like that you highlighted the aspect of freedom and how entrepreneurship can yield a sort of freedom for us to express our gifts in a sustainable way. So this is us doing what we love, giving our gifts, but getting a return for it.
Because it's a law of science. You give it out, then you get returns for it. So for me, it's a chance to be your truest self and live a delicious life.
Oh, wonderful. I like that. A delicious life. Let's work towards delicious lives.
Awesome.
So let's talk about Deafinite Signing. What is Deafinite Signing, the organization, and what are its services?
Deafinite Signing is a company registered here in Botswana, which I'm heading. It offers, it has two aspects. There's a project called Abilities, which is it's a diversity inclusion project that uses media and content production to share some disability information, and then it also offers sign language services, maybe which is relevant for this conversation, which is sign language services provided anywhere where they're needed, which it could be everywhere at a point of information, information sharing, communication, digital communications, service points. If a person who uses sign language and a person who does not understand language have to interact, that's where interpretation comes in to bridge that language gap. So it's offered for productions, television productions, to give access, and anywhere really where you put sign language. Is like if a deaf person requires, the same way you would require audio, the sign language users require sign language interpretation to access information and services.
Wonderful. So wow, I like the two-pronged approach that Deafinite Signing has. We'll talk a lot about the sign language aspect because I think it's quite an important issue. But just to go back a bit to the project Abilities Botswana, can you share just a little bit more about it? Abilities Botswana, and you said it's about inclusion. Just give us like a synopsis of this.
It's a diversity inclusion project, which is to say we host dialogue in different ways to educate the country. This is on the background that the disability history in Botswana, it's not that's nice, particularly to the community.
Very true.
Embedded in our culture. We had different reasoning for different disabilities, which meant children with disabilities were neglected because the mothers were hiding them because the society is not kind to special mothers. So now Abilities took upon this to say It could be ignorance, but also the lack of information and education. So let's produce content and use different media platforms to educate, to lace the content with information that will just change people and make them know better regarding the disability community in Botswana.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think I can relate in that respect because I'm actually a co-founder of an organization called the Disability Resources and Advocacy Center, and I would definitely concur with this fact that people tend to be ostracized, people tend to be sidelined. You'll find that persons with disabilities are not necessarily given equal and fair treatment. So it's quite a commendable thing that Abilities BW is doing. Now let's get into the issue of sign language. Tell us some facts about sign language. We want to understand a bit more about it.
With sign language, I think the important thing to understand is sign language is the first language of the deaf community.
Okay.
I know the common misconception with that is it universal? No, it's not. In the same way that culture is not universal. Different countries have their own sign languages because they have their own different cultures.
Oh, really?
Even within Botswana, you'd have variations or dialects within sign language because the same way we have variations within the language that's spoken here, the ta and the tla. So you get that variances with sign language where this is the sign for help here down south, and this is how they would sign help maybe up in north. So it's one of those. Also the recognition that sign language is a language, like a proper language, not a maybe a means to communicate. Well, so language is a means to communicate, but anyway, as in like just the recognition of it as a true language consisting of just its own grammar, and linguistics elements, and structures, all of that. So it's also a visual language. It's not the same as English. Like it would have its own structure. Where, example, if you are saying sign language doesn't have articles like your is, they, and are, because you have to use space to paint the visual picture. It could be iconic, where this is a sign for food. It makes sense that it's food, but then this would be the sign for year, where like there's sort of abstract, but it's a sign that would exist. So, yeah, I don't know what more you may want to know about it, but it's pretty much. It also evolves like any other language. Like 2 years ago, we didn't know the sign for COVID-19 until it happened, and then there's a sign for COVID. So
wonderful. Wow, it's very interesting because looking from the outside, a lot of people would tend to think that it's a general language, but it's interesting that you mentioned that even as you get into different countries, there are dialects or different types of sign language. Wow, okay, so do you think this might pose challenges with respect to the different people who are hard of hearing in different nations being able to communicate with each other? Or is there sort of an English which would be like for spoken word, perhaps? Is there something that's
sort of
uniform?
Like an international sign language of some sort? I know the World Federation of the Deaf and the World Association of Sign Language Interpreters are working on an accreditation of international sign, for interpreters, which is leveled up to that, to be able to interpret. I mean, think of your UN conferences. If you have to engage an interpreter, they have to be appealing to a larger audience than the respective country. So there is a system, an international sign system, but this is to say it's at that level for those platforms, that would be targeting the whole world. Exactly. But in essence, if different countries, I guess different communications, it could be a foreign language for the communities, the deaf communities in the respective countries. So, I mean, the overarching thing here is to respect the diversity of sign languages, as they exist, in the different countries and in the different dialects, because those are different cultures. And,
Yes, the
respect
very
for that.
the very same way that we respect the diversity of different cultures.
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you so much. All right.
And I mean, one of the other components that the interesting bits about it, sign language that I could add is its elements, including the linguistics of using. It's a visual language. It's a physical language.
You did say paint the picture.
Yes, and then to compound that, there's non-manual features as part of the parameters of sign language, where just a change in facial expression changes meaning in a word.
Okay.
If this is sign for water, it's a statement. But if I go, that's a question. Now, from body language, from all of this, like I could be, do you want water?
Okay.
Or is this water? But then this is, we see from body language, it changes the meaning and context of the sign. So one of the nice things to know.
Wow, very interesting. Thanks so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are speaking to Mr. Lesley Baleseng of Deafinite Signing, and we're learning a bit more about sign language and its importance, as well as the inclusion work that they undertake. Lesley, why would you say it's important for entities in general to incorporate sign language interpretation?
Oh, wow, nice one. Of course, it's important. I mean, first, maybe they could understand the process of interpretation.
Okay.
It's bridging that gap between spoken language and sign language, right?
Yes.
And also, people would assume, where it's not digital communications, people would assume an interpreter is there for the deaf person. They're there for you also who don't know sign language. So it's not necessarily always for the deaf person. It's for both parties.
That's
So with
interesting.
the process of interpretation, as I had explained, that sign language has its own structures. So if you were speaking, I was interpreting for you. It wouldn't mean I'm saying everything that you are saying as you are saying it.
Okay.
Yes, but it's contextual language. I have to listen to what you're saying, internalize it,
Understand,
put
yes.
it in the structure of sign language, then give it out to the audience.
Wow.
So that's the process of interpretation.
Okay.
If you're saying an idiom, it depends on the audience. It would depend on the audience. I may interpret the meaning of that idiom, not necessarily. If you're saying it's raining cats and dogs, I won't saying it's raining cats and dogs. I'll probably it's raining. And then that's one of the things where you use your non-manual features to really show intonation and meaning and
the extent to which it's
to what is going. It could be raining, but if it's raining, with all it goes there. So now for entities to use sign language interpretation, it's to open up to that market. To that market includes the deaf community and people connected to the deaf community.
Absolutely.
It opens up that market to people who affiliate to inclusive companies. I mean, inclusion from you as an entity could come from you wanting to not leave anyone behind. You know how everybody, like even the SDGs are big on not leaving anybody behind. The national vision is big on prosperity for all. So depending on where you're coming from as an entity, if you have a campaign and you want to make sure that it reaches everybody, then sign language interpretation would be the best way to be inclusive. To give that community access. If you're looking to make profits, as an entity, and you've previously maybe neglected this community, where now giving it access could just mobilize them and everybody connected to it. Think of a financial institution that could offer sign language interpretation. How nice would it be to just know that the information, communicative information for that is available, visually, and even service-wise, if you can get there and get interpretation for the services that you want, how many people would be queuing, or not even queuing, would flow to that bank? Any institution really.
Large numbers,
it really... It brings it's not just the community that uses sign languages, then it's everybody else who's connected to them, and everybody else who wants to align themselves with an entity that's inclusive.
Wow. I like what you said about the importance of entities incorporating this sign language interpretation. It can open up a whole new world for a lot of different campaigns, organizations, and the like. Okay, so what then would you say is Deafinite Signing's value proposition?
I mean, it's to give that access to that market, you know, in a professional manner. It's quite something that I do passionately and that I like, and you know, even with the team, it's a beautiful thing. So our value proposition would be: here is a market that you can have access to.
Yes.
So if by incorporation of these services, the returns are bigger. You know, from the power of information, you know, sometimes you don't know better because you haven't seen better, you haven't learned
Exposure.
better. So whatever it is, that all your efforts that you are doing to expose people to your product or services, you will just never know the ripple effect of that. You know, how many, you know, sign language users have had their lives changed because of information that they accessed, because it was interpreted, you know, all the opportunities that they interpreted. Like, I didn't apply for that project because the information was just not available in the medium that I understand, which would be sign language. So, even if you want to do good by your camera, just spread your message bigger, like send it out to a larger world, and that's what Deafinite Signing presents as a value proposition, to say, let's increase your target market, let's make you inclusive, and you save the SD, we'll do all the work for you, just make your communication material and your services inclusive.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are speaking to Mr. Lesley Baleseng of Deafinite Signing, and he's been talking about sign language inclusion and the value proposition that they have in terms of giving access to a market, a broader market, for a wide range of entities. So let's talk perhaps about the various opportunities and possibilities within the space of sign language.
I think the key one is that there isn't a lot of practitioners in the space, so it's still an open market for people to get into. These are specific for practitioners,
Yes.
for them to have it as a sustainable income.
Source of income. Yes,
it's a very fulfilling job, but honestly, you also have to really like it to do it. And then, you know, other things, it's with different entities to be deliberate, you know, with inclusion for their mandates and for their communications. You know, I mean, imagine, like, I'll give an example about government programs and policies packaged in sign language. You know, in that way, they would be certain that deaf people would access their information, you know, confidently. Think of syllabi for deaf children, you know, to improve the education sector. If we make that content accessible to them, you know, it's doable. Think of any content really that exists. Think of from the Constitution to everything.
It's interesting that you say that. Allow me to interject there, because there's an organization that I know of which has worked on a Braille translation of the Domestic Violence Act. So you can imagine what such can do.
Exactly. Like, think of even like promotions that could possibly save your life. You know, you mentioned GBV. How much of that content is made available in accessible language, in sign language, so that they can be better informed to say, I may be experiencing this, I just never knew it was GBV, or the whole, or this is what I do if this happens. So a whole, whatever it is that you could be doing, it can be made accessible. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it can be made accessible to the deaf community. So the opportunities are really endless and boundless.
Wonderful. You know, just to recap there on what you said, the opportunities are there on both sides. For practitioners, it's a very fulfilling job, and one can use it as an economic empowerment means, you know, to source of income. And then also for other entities to embark on their inclusion aspects or inclusion policies and the like. This is an opportunity for them to broaden their reach. And then also from the information perspective, you know, it would be good for people to gain as much information as possible, because truly speaking, I mean, even as Botswana, you know, like, with respect to having a disability act, like the progress there, we don't even want to get into that, because it's just been policy, but really are we taking any action in that respect? But that's another issue for
another
day. You know,
this is how I know I'd come back now.
And we'll definitely be back. You know, but wow, thank you so much for that. I've definitely learned a lot personally about the uniqueness. I mean, and not just uniqueness, but the variety that you mentioned with respect to sign language, and that we need to respect its diversity the same way that we do with cultural diversity, because it's different. It's not just one universal aspect. So it's good for us to gain understanding, and we are very grateful to you for having come and shared this information with us. But how can we reach Deafinite Signing and you personally as Lesley?
No, I mean, the information I'm sure would be showing
on the screen, of course,
by right now. We are available on social media pages,
yes.
to have our emails and contacts. And here's where we're heading at now. It's COVID era.
Oh, yes.
And this is how it has been good, because we've been experiencing this with our video remote interpretation.
Yes.
Services can be offered anywhere. We don't have to travel to Mawong. You have strong connectivity. It's a visual language. If you have that video feed, then the work has to go on. Don't think, and it's cheaper even, So as the times are changing to the digital eras, the meetings are live streamed, digital activities, seminars are live streamed. So this is just to say, it's an opportunity to be inclusive in that manner. This is how you are inclusive, and also that it doesn't always have to be traveling and physical. It can be done remotely, through video and interpretation. So this is to just give it all non-users. If you're a non-user, it means you're a person who is sharing any information or services, but you just never considered making it inclusive maybe until you saw this show. So it's an opportunity to expand to a bigger market, and it's cheaper because if you don't have to travel, these are the digital times, and also
exactly.
It's best to save at home. So yeah, the information will be shared on the screen. We're always ready to serve. By all means, television production. I'm in one now.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. Exactly.
To increase your audience.
Exactly.
If you had that happening, it will also mean more audience for it. So,
and we're grateful for that.
Okay, cool. No, thanks for the opportunity.
Man, Mr. Lesley Baleseng, Deafinite Signing, let me thank you so much for having been on the show. It's been very informative, and we are so grateful.
And it's been nice engaging with you. Thank
Wonderful. We appreciate that.
Okay.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, before you go anywhere, please don't touch that dial. Stay on your screens. We'll be back for the 2-minute tip. We're just going for a quick ad break.
The weak revel in their aggression. The strong in their gentleness. Be more hard and less attack.
Right, so our 2-minute tip for today: as you run your business or your entity, you might be asking yourself, what are some of the ways that I can reward my employees? And we'll look at 3 basic ways that you might want to reward your employees. Number 1, money. We all understand the importance of money as an incentive for a job well done. Number 2, advancement and personal growth. You might want to reward your employees by taking them for training perhaps, so that they can also grow and develop personally. And then lastly, number 3, recognition. Do not underestimate the power that a certificate of achievement or a trophy or any token of appreciation can go, how far it can go in rewarding and further motivating your employees. So once again, let's look into this issue of how to reward our employees, perhaps through recognition, money, and of course advancement or personal growth. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful show. Thank you so much for your time. As always, from me, Big Budget, and the team that makes it happen, Black Network, Moana Pictures, it's good night and God bless. And always remember that you were born for so much more.